Hello there, I'm Blackbright, as you probably know. I'm broadcasting out of the UK. Welcome to my channel. If it's the first time you're passing through, please click the like button or the downside button or subscribe or share with your colleagues and friends. Today I wanted to talk about a new law that came into force today, and it's called the Max and Kira's Law. And it comes into force today as a result of a 12-month campaign to ensure English people get desperately needed organ donations. Now, why am I talking about this? It's because in the past, you were able to opt out. Put it this way, if you was in hospital and you died, you would have to call your relatives to approve whether or not they could take your organs. Now the law has changed. Unless you opt out, the hospital, the doctors, they can take your organs without your permission. It's as though everybody in the UK, not in the UK, everybody in England has consented to have their organs removed. What they call organ harvesting. Now, the first human-to-human heart surgery was in 1967, and the donee survived 10 years. Kira donated her heart, liver, kidney to a young boy called Max after she died in a car accident. And that is why they've called it the Max and Kira's Law. The new organ donor law, now called the Max and Kira's Law, means you consent to opt out as opposed to opt in. Normally, you would give permission in your will to remove your organs. Now you need to opt out if you don't want your organs removed. The coronavirus has led to a slump in transplants. More than 6,000 people are currently waiting for an organ in the UK. I did wonder whether the deceased donors contaminated by the coronavirus could have their organs removed for transplant purposes. And they can. Apparently, contaminated donors' organs seem to fare as well as non-contaminated donor organs. And there was no increase in morbidity or mortality. Cancer survivors are not eligible. Live cancer people, or people who are alive and have cancer, they cannot donate organs. But after they're dead, their organs can be used. Well, some of them, depending on where the cancer is. In 2016, 467 people died while waiting for an organ. 85% of all donors live for 1 year, 77% for 3 years, and 70% for more than 5 years. So it's about extending life. It's not about preserving life. It's a bit like cancer. When you have cancer and they give you radiotherapy and all of that, that's just to keep you going a bit longer. It doesn't necessarily mean it's going to keep you going indefinitely. Mind you, none of us are going to live indefinitely, but it does preserve your life so you can have some quality for a while longer. On Friday, the 15th of March 2019, the Organ Donation Deemed Consent Act 2019 became law. So technically, all those 32,000, more than 32,000, who died of the coronavirus and did not opt out, their organs would have been removed. So that is quite alarming, really, when you think about it. Because, I only realised today, and I think today's a deadline, although I saw somewhere else that you can still opt out, even though today's a deadline. And I'm going to put a link in below this video so that you can actually opt out if you want to, even though it says the deadline. And I've also got a telephone number you can call. But the alarming thing is that those 32,000 people, over 32,000, if they haven't got a record to say they've opted out, every single one of them would have had their organs removed. And I think that's quite alarming, considering the majority of family members may not know about the new law, or they might not have even known about the law in March last year. Because even though the Max and Kira's Law came out in force today, that's just giving it a new name. It's not really a new law. So in the past, unless someone is registered as an organ donor on their death, the family would have had to be approached to confirm whether or not they agreed to organs being donated. And I've got a child under 18 who I'm going to speak to in a moment, and a parent who I'm going to speak to in a moment, just to get their views on what they think about this. Because if you're under 18, you can't consent. You're unable to donate an organ. Well, I'll tell you the exclusions in a moment. Time is of the essence, so at a time when families are grieving or in shock, it's not the best time to say, now your family member is dead, can we have one of her organs? Which is what used to happen. And so you'd find the doctors trying to be tactful. You've got somebody who's just passed away, and they're supposed to then ask the survivors whether or not they could take the organs of somebody who's just died. Now, you're going to be in grief, you're going to be in shock. You're not really going to want to say, oh, yes, cut their bodies up and take their organs out, are you? Not really. So they've come up with the idea, or this little Max and Kira came up with the idea, instead of asking people for organs, why not just take them? And it's up to them to opt out if they don't want them taken. So it's now switched the other way around. Statistics indicate that 80% of adults would consent to organ donations, yet 37% are registered. Donors leaving families, Statistics indicate 80% of adults would consent to organ donations, yet 37% are registered donors, leaving families to make the decision. So there's 130,000 Jehovah's Witnesses in the UK, 20 million worldwide, along with many Orthodox Jews who see organ donation as mutilating a corpse. And then we have Christian Scientists and Shinto faith. Those four would not consent to having their organs removed. Jehovah's Witnesses do not approve of blood transfusions, so I would think it's unlikely that they're going to approve to have their organs removed. If you're not legal in the country, I'm wondering if you have a say about your organs. What I'm wondering is if you're able to opt out. And I don't think you would be, because are you going to be registered with the health service? And if you're not registered with the health service, how can you opt out or even opt in? So the excluded groups, the people who cannot donate without consent, it's called excluded groups. I'm not quite sure what they mean by that, but it's people under 18. I think these are the people. No, it can't be. Why I'm confused with the excluded groups is because Kira and Max. Kira was 9 when she donated her kidneys and her heart and her lungs. And the child she gave it to was 12. So what I don't understand when they say excluded groups is that people under 18 are excluded. People who have lived in England for less than 12 months. People who are not living here voluntarily. And I'm not quite sure if that relates to a lockdown. I mean, why would you not be in this country voluntarily? I don't understand that exclusion either. Unless it is, supposing you die during the lockdown, you're excluded because of that. Because that implies that you're not here voluntarily, because otherwise you would have left if the plane was flying or if the airports were open. So people who lack the capacity to understand the change. Now, I understand that. And also cancer survivors, they can't donate their organs. Well, they can, depending on what cancer type and their remission status. Some organs might be able to be used, but not all. And smokers, many organs can't be donated if you're a smoker. So, as of today, everyone in England is officially an organ donor unless they opt out. And I believe today is the deadline, but like I said, on the gov.org website, what's it called? The organdonor.nhs.uk website, They say that you can actually opt out at any time. So you'll just need to check that, because on the link I'm going to put below, I believe it says the deadline is today. Anyway, try calling 0300 123 2323. I'm not quite sure if that's a premium number, to see if you can still opt out. But I would go to that website that I'm going to put the link below. It's www.organdonation.nhs.uk. Cardiac death, vital organs must be quickly become unusable, but the bone, skin, heart valves, cornea can be donated within 24 hours. So I'm not quite sure what they mean by quickly. I think quickly in some places is between 24 hours and 72 hours. Organ donors give up their right to informed consent. So that means if you're an organ donor, once you say you're an organ donor, they can do anything they want with your body. You can't go and say, oh, you can only take my heart, you can only take my lungs, you can only take my kidneys. You can't do that. Doctors don't have to tell you or your relatives what they will do with your body during organ harvesting operation. So can you imagine? I wonder how many people know that. Well, some people don't even care. Once they're dead as far as they're concerned. And they're kind of thinking, well, I'm dead anyway. But the thing is that they have this procedure where they actually keep you're dead, but they keep you alive in order to, they put you on a respiratory system and they keep you alive in order to preserve the organs. And I'm not quite sure how that works, but it sounds really, really weird. And I don't like the idea. Apparently the blood pumps the same way. The body is breathing. It can actually heal wounds while this process is going on. And they call it a person who's departed from its body. They even have a name for it. So the lengths that they go to preserve organs is unfathomable. I think it's just, I don't even know what to say about it, because some people, they're quite okay with it. But I really think the fact that you can't say what organs you're willing to donate, I think, and they can do anything they want with the body, I don't like that idea. Coronavirus victims would need to be organ harvested pretty quickly as the vital organs deteriorate quickly. Well, when I looked up quickly, because I wanted to know what quickly was, it means within 24 to 72 hours. And also it depends on how you die. Apparently, if you've got circulatory, if you die through circulatory issues, like a lot of coronavirus people do, their organs deteriorate quickly. So they need to yank those organs out within 24, 72 hours. In Wales, it has been in operation since 2015, and they reckon the consent rates are now 75%. Most common transplants are kidney, heart, liver, lung, pancreas. Small bowel tissues are the cornea, the heart valve, skin and bone. And donations may be used for research or transplant. Some patients require second transplants. Survival rates differ for each individual or depending on the procedure. Aftercare is really important. Diet, exercise, lifestyle, medication. And there, of course, is the possibility of chronic rejection. Plus, you have to be taking lifelong immunosuppressant medication. So I am going to call a mother and her child. Child is 16, almost, and the mother. And I'm just going to ask her a few questions of what she thinks about this organ donation. She's anonymous. She doesn't want to be seen on camera. So, Miss X.
Good afternoon, good morning, good evening.
Good evening. I just wanted to get your take on the fact that Max and Kira's law came out today. Mm-hmm. And unless you opt out, if you was to die tomorrow and you didn't know about it, your lungs, your kidney, any part of you could just be taken and they can do what they like with your body, with any part of your body. How do you feel about that?
I feel like it
Something
would
like
be. It sounds to me quite. I can only describe it as a violation. Um, it would be the same as, well, what I was about to say would be quite graphic, but it's an internal violation. And the same way we don't accept external violation, i.e., someone taking off your clothes without your consent, why would you allow someone to do that to you? And I think it is just because people are unaware or have been unaware.
So when you say it's like an internal violation, then, so what do you think? The fact that it's not. Have you seen it on the news? I mean, how do you know about it?
Well, until it was brought to my attention today, I wasn't aware of it. I'd heard it mentioned previously, and like you said, although the Kieran Max law has only come out today, I have heard it mentioned in the past, but there's a lot of things that is spoken about in the media, and you kind of don't know what to take with a pinch of salt and what to actually take on board. So the fact that, it's a possibility that I could die and my organs are taken, and for purposes other than donation or to give to somebody else, but also for testing. You know, testing I understand will maybe help with future medication or whatever it is that they may be testing for. But what if you come from a holistic background or you believe in natural medicine? This isn't the type of testing that they're dealing with. They're dealing with pharmaceuticals. So, even things like that, there's people that believe solely in holistic and natural healing. And to think that their organs may be taken out and tested for pharmaceutical purposes, that's also another thing to take into consideration.
I mean, how do you think people are going to think? I mean, how do you think people are going to think? I mean, how do you think, like the 32,000? I mean, I think 32,000 there's over 32,000 people died of coronavirus. And I thought that because they were more likely to be contaminated, that they couldn't use their organs. But I've just found out it doesn't really matter if they're contaminated with the coronavirus. They can still use their organs. So what do you think about the 32,000, over 32,000, who possibly wouldn't have opted out because their death was kind of premature? They wouldn't have really known about it. We don't know how many of the family members might have known about it. What do you think about the prospect of all of those people having their bodies mutilated and their organs taken out?
I think it adds to the conspiracy theories of, without going into too much detail, but if you think of it as, say, for example, I was to go into hospital for a random reason, and they come to the conclusion that my organs are good for whatever purpose. I could pass away while I'm in hospital, a coronavirus tag be put on my toe, even though that's not what I've died of, and my organs taken, and my family members would never be aware because you're not allowed to see the bodies of corona victims.
Yeah, I think
So
that's quite alarming. You're not allowed to see them. And I think they cremate them all as well, don't
yeah,
they? And that probably is the reason why. And I think that because a lot of people don't know that, and this, even though Max and Kira's law came out today, that law, the Organ Donation Act, came out as far back as March 2019, which technically means that it's a deemed consent law. So, like I said, it's deemed that they've consented. All those 32,000 would have deemed to have consented because they didn't opt out. It's kind of alarming.
it is very alarming. And like I was saying about, or what you were saying about corona victims still being able to have their organs harvested, as you put it, I think that for me rings alarm bells as well. And although it's across the board, if you have cancer and if you have lots of other diseases, but the fact that this virus has just come from nowhere, it's taken so many lives, and this law came out shortly. What did you say? March 2019.
Yeah, 2019. So that was last year, not this year.
Yeah, but shortly before this all kicked off.
Mm.
You know, it's a bit coincidental, a bit too coincidental, but you know, it's all, you know, you kind of have to take some things with a pinch of salt, and other things it kind of spurs you on to look into and maybe make decisions for yourself. But once it was brought to my attention, I made a decision for myself, and I spoke to my children about it, and they made their decisions for themselves. One being the same age as Kira, and the other one teenager. So, you know, I haven't made that decision for them. But at the same token, if they said that they wanted to be donors, I can't actually say that I'd be happy about it, because it's just the idea. I mentioned it to a friend actually, and they said that they're a donor and they're quite happy to be.
Yeah,
and
I've spoken to a few people that are quite
Yeah.
happy to be donors. So
Yeah.
it is an individual choice.
Definitely, but as long as it's all out on the table, and as long as people are aware of what they need to do or what they don't need to do in order to be a donor if you want to be, and not be a donor if you don't want to be, the hush hush thing is not
That's
right
what
for
I'm
me.
saying. That's what I was wondering. I mean, if you hadn't have heard, is it on mainstream media? I haven't seen it on
No.
mainstream media, because I would have thought, especially like the deadline is today, if it is today, even though they reckon there is no deadline, I would have thought that that should have been on the news. Look, this law is coming out. If you don't opt out, you're going to be considered a donor in England. It's not only in England.
That would defeat the object, though. The object is that ignorance. The object is to get as many donors as possible and as many organs as possible. And what they don't use here, they can sell for hefty.
Yeah, I heard that it's
amount of
quite
money.
expensive.
And so by making it mainstream and giving people an open choice, your donors then, the amount of donors plummet. And all these coronavirus victims, maybe a lot of them would have opted out, but they never saw corona come in. They don't know anything about this law, or even that, you know, this thing that's going on existed before it was even given a name. So you're not in a position to make a decision, and it is the ignorance.
Yeah. Okay, well, thank you very much. Can I talk to your son?
Okay.
Yeah, it is quite alarming, and I think knowledge is the key. Being kept informed. Good evening.
Evening.
Okay, so how old are you?
Turning 16. Soon enough.
Okay, so what is your opinion about being under 18 and you're not really eligible to donate your organs?
I think that everyone should have a chance to donate their organs, and like my mum said, I think that it should be, if the child wants to do it, the guardian should take it upon her or himself to make it possible, and give the child the opportunity of what the child wants. So yeah.
Yeah, so like Kira, she was 9 when she decided that she wanted to donate her organs. Do you think that is old enough to know what you want to do with your organs? 9? I mean, you've got a young sister.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, there's kids that are capable of, you know, a mind of a 12-year-old, common sense of a 12-year-old that's 9, and then there's 9-year-olds that, you know, don't really know how to think for themselves. So if you put it like that, you can't really say, oh well, if you know what you're doing, you know what you're doing, because you may not. So it's quite tough to call. But personally, I think I think that it should be around about that 12, 13-year-old mark, mainly because that's when you start, becoming that young adult, some people could say, turning to the teenager, going high school, making your own choices. So that's why I think it should be around that mark.
Okay, and if you if you want to, would you think you would tell people? Would you think you would alert people now that you know, or do you think it's not important for people to know?
I think it's definitely important, because at the end of the day, it's your body, and I don't think anyone has the right to take away bits and bobs from your body, or if another person needs that, then they'll take it away. Or I think that more people definitely should be alerted, because there's people out there who would say, absolutely, I would never do that. But if you don't know about it, and if you don't act upon it, then unfortunately the government said, look, we're taking your organs. So I think all people should definitely be alerted. It should be, spread across all of England, because, like I said, some people might approve, but some people might approve. So
Yeah, because they do have certain religions, like I was saying earlier, that definitely don't approve.
Yeah.
And I'm just wondering whether they would go through checking their religion or before they take it. Because I think some people, like when you complete the form in a hospital and it says, oh, do you want to put your religion down? Some people, they opt out of putting that information in. As far as they're concerned, it's their business.
yeah,
But if that information isn't on there and you're Jehovah's Witness or your Shinto faith or one of these scientists, Christian scientists, who absolutely say organ donation is a no-no, they would get, their organs would be taken and, nothing to be done about it.
Yeah.
Well, I just wanted to thank you very much for your input.
You're welcome.
Okay, so we've had a mother and we've had a child, well, a teenager, and their thoughts. And I just wanted to get some kind of feeling other than my own feelings on this subject. Personally, I think it's really important that everybody knows. I mean, like they said, a lot of people are more than happy to donate their organs, but there are some, whether it's for religious purposes or whatever other reason, they don't want to donate their organs. And to have the thought that people are having their organs taken from them and nobody knows, and it's I don't think that's right. So that's all I want to say for now. So I hope you found this interesting and informative, and that's all for now. Bye. When I can find this thing to switch it off.